Coming up, we are going to give you the survival guide that you need for spring break. Well, hey, I'm back. I'm John. I am one of the hosts, actually, more so a producer, and welcome to the Universal Magic Podcast. As always, I am joined at the table virtually by my good friend, Alyssa, who's got the pose already.
Hello.
And then our good friend from up north. Well, we have two good friends up north. We have Jeff,
Hey, everyone.
and we have Jen. The
way,
whole
way up
crew
north.
is here.
Yeah, she's
Yes,
farther up
yes.
north.
So
She's farther up north than me.
yeah.
You're way
But-
up there.
So
Alyssa, I'm glad to see
like
you
I
back and
said-
feeling better.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't wish the flu upon anybody. You did not want me on the last episode. I was a hot, sluggish mess. So
It could have been interesting, though.
yeah. So thanks for having Beth and Brandon on. I got to watch.
It was
some of
great.
so it's always great having them.
Yeah.
Mhm. Great additions. Yeah.
So, like I mentioned before, I'm taking more of a producer role. So when I chime in, I think last week I did something with like just me in the background, but you'll see this. So if I need to chime in, but anyway, tonight, guys, we're going to talk surviving at spring break in Disney World, which probably one of the busiest times besides the holidays. I think at least. So
Oh,
I'm gonna let you guys lead the discussion.
I will gladly attempt to survive after the winter I've had here in Michigan this year. And Jen, I'm sure you can. And Alyssa, you're not all that far. You're in cold weather too. So
I think it was a wind chill of like 3 degrees here today. So
Yeah.
I'm
It
ready
was awful.
to break.
this has been the most brutal winter I can remember in a while. So
And we have a snow pile not drift, but pile about 9 feet high.
Yeah.
And our sidewalks are probably, 3 feet on each side. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not that bad, but man, have we had the cold. We got about maybe 18 inches, where I'm at, but it's just the brutal cold. And I don't know. I want to think about something warm.
I'm over it.
Like spring break is like perfect, like absolutely perfect. I'll be on location for the next one. So it's just like, I could not wait to get the show on and make just my blood feel warmer.
Right.
We're sponsored by Moments of Magic. So if you guys need it,
it's
go ahead.
not too late to book that spring break trip. Like
correct.
2 of them this week. Well, between last week and this week. And ironically, they were both 3. 2 of them for Disneyland and 1 for Disney World, all last minute.
Nice.
So there is still room. There's actually lots of rooms at Disneyland. I was surprised. And Disney World was a little harder, but
you can still make it
not
happen.
too late. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people who are just kind of waiting until May when that Epic Universe opens up. So I think that's why I think there's some good deals right now.
But so I'm just going to jump into it because really our first point that we have to make, though, in general, is we always, no matter what time of year you're going to go, we recommend booking the absolute soonest that you can, right? Like I have people who are talking already about 2026 and they're like, well, when's the latest we can book it? I'm like, you could technically book it the day you're leaving, but do you want to do that? No, you want to book now, secure the lowest rates. And then when a promotion comes up, because I feel like every single year, some kind of spring-ish time promotion does come out. Usually the first one that's released is always the best one. Yep. Not 100% of the time, but I've been like comparing every time I have a promotion applied for a client's trip and a new one comes out, and almost never does the new one save them more money than the other one that I had. So it's definitely about booking early. Now, can you still get deals right now? Yes, they still have promotions going on through now the fall, right? Through like September.
Right.
Yep.
But,
The only thing that you risk waiting this late, you're well into the 60-day window, so you may or may not be able to get your favorite restaurants. You might not be able to get Bippity Bop Boutique or Build a Lightsaber. I was able to get still some great restaurants for my clients, but not the best times in, the most opportune days that they wanted to do it. So yeah, I agree with Alyssa 100%. Book early, because the reality of it is, even if it's like way early and it's rack rate because there isn't a special, that's what we do. We're going to find a special for you. We're going to apply it and just reduce what you guys owe. So that's what we do. We put your money first and try to find you guys the best deal before you take off.
Yep, for sure.
And then it's like to say that too, like last year they released 2026 very early. Like I feel like it was around this time last year. So
2025, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like the next year they released earlier than they usually do. Like usually it's like May or June, and last year it was like February or March. So like it's not too early to plan spring break of 2026. Like start getting it like kind of going now. So when those dates do release, you're ready.
And I actually do have a couple families right now that, even though we can't book it, I just done a basic package. It's just the hotel, by calling them and just doing a basic package. It's a lot of the same, we just have to turn it into a package when those things come out. So we can book, earlier if you guys really need to do that. Yeah. Pro tip. It's funny though, because I was doing Disneyland and Disney World. Like Disney World's always got these fancy names, stay, play, and save, and free dining. Disneyland was just like hotel promotion offer. No fun names to them. That was kind of funny. So, but before we get into our topic today, there was a pretty significant piece of news that was announced this morning. For me, I didn't like it all that much because I'm getting ready to head down there for an extended period of time. I think we've all been waiting for this, for a long time, for Guardians, for sure. Tiana, but the virtual queue is going away. I don't think there's going to be any rides in the virtual queue.
I don't think so.
No, I looked in the app right after that was announced this morning, and those are the only two. John put a nice little down there.
Oh, nice. A nice little ticker. Hey, good job, John.
Yep. So it's going to extend to Guardians of the Galaxy as well as Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Both of them on February 25th. So the 24th will be the last day to get the virtual queue. You'll be able to do a standby line. I know for a lot of my families, they really were looking forward to that, wanting to do it, because if you get in the park early, do rope drop, you can run right over there
and hit that first. Yep.
Basically walk on that ride. That's going to be what I do now when I go. I'm going to get there early, then I go take a nap in the corner somewhere.
But can you guys actually predict what the wait times are going to be for that?
45 minutes.
With it being,
I think in the beginning.
Yeah, John. If the queue on the inside is full, and I've been in that full queue before from the first room, it's about 45 minutes. Unless there's problems with cars or something and they're running slow. But if the ride is running good,
that ride is plagued unless they fix things. So
I found it to be about 45 minutes if you're in that very first room when you come in with the virtual queue. And then, if it extends outside, obviously a little bit different. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I think right at the beginning, I think you're going to find pretty long lines to start.
Stand outside.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be like, finally, I feel like Rise of the Resistance, you can get in on a regular, like non-peak day and wait less than an hour. Yeah. Whereas I felt like years we've been waiting hours for that ride. I kind of feel like Guardians is going to be similar, that in the beginning for a while, it's going to be an hour, 2 hours. And then over time, we'll be able to wait.
When you're standing outside Guardians and you're looking at it to the left, there's that extra queue over by the Connections Cafe. That's going to get used for a little while, I think.
I think so.
I think it will.
Tiana's, I don't think as much. I think it could get high. Like Splash Mountain did get high at times, especially in the summer months. But I don't think it'll be as bad. Yeah,
I don't see it being as bad either. But we'll see. I'll be there to test it out here coming up in a few weeks. So I'll let you guys know. So, nice. All right. So let's get into it. We want to talk this week about spring break survival. That's what we're kind of calling it. But I think it's spring break revival in my opinion. It's my absolute favorite time of the year to go to Disney World. I absolutely love it. It just feels like after a long winter, everything's alive, the topiaries, and it's my favorite time of year. But it can be busy. But unless you guys disagree, I think it depends on which spring break week you're there. You know, most of the country is
Definitely.
different, right?
Yes.
Exactly. I have a ton of Florida resident clients who booked their spring breaks with me, and they're all in March. And so, like, I feel like the bulk of the country is around Easter, which is right now the end of April. So,
Yep.
like, I really feel like they're gonna really enjoy their spring breaks because it's not gonna be that peak time. So, and
You know how
again, they all got really good deals.
you know how I can always tell is that, like, I'm gonna be, staying at our place in Sebring in Florida, but we always use our DVC points, for like a day here, a day there. We just, we drive into Disney World. I was able to get 2 or 3 days in March with no trouble at all for just about any days I want. Usually those, if it's a busy time, every single resort says no rooms available for the deluxe studios, and I was able to get pretty easily things. So that kind of tells you that there's some availability. So hopefully. My family's, I got like 6 or 7 going in the first couple of weeks of March. We'll experience, a little bit less. I just think it's a great time to go. I love the weather. It's perfect. It's not humid yet like it gets in, June, July, August. To me, it's just perfect time to go. Perfect.
And with the new, I don't know where this was on our list, but with the new benefit too of the water park on your arrival day, I feel like that's
Definitely.
like a spring break thing to do. So I feel
Absolutely.
like that is a really good bonus of just like enjoying, even if it was like you didn't get to your resort till 12, you still have 5 hours or so.
And I learned something new about that today. So when I went in and I booked my couple days, my 3 days for DVC, and I added them to my Disney experience, I noticed at the top of each reservation it says free water park day. And I didn't get a package, it was just the room.
Yep, I have seen that.
I thought it had to be a package. I guess I was mistaken there.
Nope, so I'm staying on property.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's great.
So that's really cool. All right, so let's get into it. We have a few points here. We have actually quite a few of them. We want to get through it. We kind of already talked about, I'll take number 1. We kind of already talked about it, or, I can just start, whoever wants to take number 1, but booking everything early. We kind of talked about that a little bit in the earlier part of this. And I agree, from a standpoint of booking everything early, that gives us the ability, if you're going to use a travel agent like us, or if you're going to do it yourself, that gives you the ability to not miss any of the windows to do your dining reservations, to do your special experiences. I call it, like the Bippity Bop Boutique or whatever. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. It just, you've got more availability. You've got like Alyssa said in the intro, there's different specials that that we can move you into, even if something isn't available as soon as you are ready to book. Things will come up. We can modify your reservation, and it's just easier to get secured where you want to be, and then modify afterwards if you need to change things. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I always say, like, book the most of what you think you're gonna get. It's so much easier to take away things later than it is to add to it, because then you're paying like whatever that rack rate is at the time. So, and especially for those who maybe are on a budget, the value resorts are going to go first. So, like, if you want one of those value resorts, book it as soon as you possibly can, or you're gonna be out of luck. And the amount of times too, when it is that peak time and the value resorts are all sold out, that I've had clients be offered like upgrades. Like, I had someone last spring break last year who was in the Little Mermaid standard room, and she got upgraded to a Finding Nemo suite. So, because I think that those were just all like oversold. So you're not going to get kicked out and put at a lower level.
Just like the airlines, Disney has issues in the system sometimes where they oversell a certain type of resort, or they have a batch of rooms that they have to suddenly, renovate or do something to them, and they are forced to upgrade you. So it's always like what we call pixie dust being sprinkled on. But the other thing that I want to say here, we can move on to the next one. It's kind of a myth buster for me. I have a lot of my families who say, booking too early, or I see it all the time, booking too early, it's going to cost you more. Well, it's not, because regardless if you book right at the start of a year or a special, it's $200 down. That's it. That's all it costs to put on a package. It's $200. And you know, whether you wait 2 weeks before, like some of my families have done this week for me, or 18 months up to, if it's a, like a package, just what we call a basic package, it's $200, $200. And then as you get closer, we're going to apply specials, reduce the amount. It doesn't really change anything. You just had that fun thing in your My Disney experience to look at and kind of, incentivize you and be happy about. So,
right. For sure.
so, all
I
right.
have to say, I love adding my resort to my Disney experience account and looking
Yep.
at the countdown.
I get to do it twice earlier today for DVC, so I was like,
Yeah, it just
always
feels
fun.
weird when it's empty and there's not anything on that list.
That's sad. It's very sad.
Although I can't make my park reservations yet as a pass holder, because I let my pass go in September because I knew I wasn't going for 6 months. There's just
no reason.
There's no reason. So I'm like, I'm just going to wait till March and take a chance that the passes are being sold. But I know that attendance down right now. I figured they would be, and they are. So
there you go.
So I'll get that before we go. So, all right. Who wants to take number 2?
I got it. All right.
All right.
So when again going into those peak times, you need to do whatever you need to maximize your time. So we, like us, people who go all the time, we might be okay with waiting in those 2-hour lines for something we really love. But if you only have 4 park days, like one day in each park, you really can't necessarily do that. So we say to maximize the lightning lane system, obviously work with an agent like us and we can walk you through all those steps. So like virtual queue is fortunately going away. So I don't have to walk anyone through that probably anymore. But I think a lot of people say they don't want to be in their phones all the time. Well, now with the new system, you can pre-select 3 attractions. And so like it's a lot less having to be in your phone. Again, a benefit of being on property, then you can select those a week before you check in versus only 3 days ahead of time if you're off property.
Yep.
But just trying to have like a plan in place so that you can get some of those high demand rides out of the way and not have to wait hours. And
Yep.
sometimes, like, especially if it's a queue, like Guardians that might go outside, then you don't want to be in the heat.
Absolutely.
Too.
Correct.
Well, what she's talking about is obviously multi-pass, single pass. It's obviously a great system to have if you're one of the families that go once every other year or once every few years, because it's hard-earned money you're spending at the parks and you want to maximize your time. I get that. Alyssa hit it on the head. Someone like myself or Alyssa or Jen who goes often, we explore and enjoy the parks a much different way than we used to way back in the day.
Mhm.
I actually like the laid back, it's too busy here, I'm going to come back tomorrow, type mentality we have. But just something to remember about the multi-pass, single pass. If you're staying on resort, that's at 7 days. And if you're staying off resort, it's 3 days, right?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think Disneyland is very similar.
Disneyland is still working like Genie Plus did. You
Genie Plus.
Not select anything until you enter.
You get into the park.
You enter the park.
You are right, 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's so many locals who go to Disneyland, and so like I feel like the usage of their multi-pass is so much less, and so I feel like it's more cost effective to get it at Disneyland in that sense because you can hit a lot of things.
Yep.
And the nice thing with Disneyland as well is you can add it into your package when you purchase your package. So that's kind of a nice little perk. You just do it, it's done. And then when you get into the park, you bloop, 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 make your selections and go.
I should find for you. I had a friend that I just booked his Disneyland trip. He sent me a list because he did that. He added it to his package. He sent me a list like pages long of everything he got to do because he had the Lightning Lane multi-pass.
Oh, nice.
Like, and because he was there 3 days and he did everything and he did a lot of things multiple times. And like, he had never been to Disneyland before. So for him to really, again, he tackled it so well and got so many things done.
That's wonderful.
Definitely worth it over there.
Yep. I know the other thing at Disneyland that's still in effect are park reservations.
Yeah.
Have to make them. Hopefully that'll go away soon. And I just found out this week, because it's been a minute since I booked Disneyland, that you don't even see their tickets. So just a couple days before they depart, so even though they allow you to do the park reservations and all that, you don't see those physical tickets because they're like a different system there. They say they wait that long because it's easier not to have to reissue things if you make last minute changes. They hope you do it before then. So, yeah. All right, I think we kicked that one or beat it to death. And John, I'm really digging those graphics at the bottom.
Yeah, we get
Yeah,
the
you're doing
picker
great.
one. It's awesome.
It's going to get longer and longer as we go. So,
We look
Jen, number 3.
All right, so number 3 is huge, and this is the lingo that we frequent flyers use is rope drop. So what rope dropping means, and it is essential for getting in some of your big ticket items. Rope dropping means getting there before the park opens so that you can be in line ready to go when they drop the rope or open up the gates to get into the parks. You will be able to scan in and be inside the park. You just can't get past a certain point, and then the cast members will open up and let you in. So taking advantage of, if you're a resort on property guest, you can enter 30 minutes prior to the regular park entry. And if you're not a resort guest, then make sure that you're there, like basically when the early morning people can get there, so that you can be right there at the actual time of opening. You will be able to save time by hitting 2 to 3 big rides in those first 30 minutes. It's essential to get there early.
Yeah,
So.
I think my favorite strategy personally, we're gonna probably be using it even more with the Guardians and news, is getting there early. And early to me means, like, if you're staying at the resorts, you're taking a bus, and let's say they open at 8:30, be on the 7:30 bus. So you
Yes.
can be there, about a half an hour early is what I always
Mhm.
say to my families. I don't know if you guys suggest different things.
Yep.
Or if you're driving in your own car, you might be able to leave 15 minutes later than that, if you want. But try to get there about 30 minutes early. And then as soon as they drop the rope, and it really did used to be a rope drop way back in the
It
day.
did.
But when they drop that rope, go to the most sought after attraction. Like at Epcot, go to Guardians now that it's going to be standby. Go to
Yes.
Rise of the Resistance at Hollywood Studio.
Yeah.
Go to
Mhm.
Tron at Magic
Tron.
Kingdom, and at Animal Kingdom, go to Flight of Passage.
Flight of Passage.
Go do those ones first, because if you get the big, so what I tell my family is, if you get the big one out of the way first, you may not need to purchase that individual lightning lane, at all. And 2, the rest of the park just seems more manageable if you have multi-pass, because the big one's done.
Correct.
So, Melissa, how do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think now, like right now, we have like all the big ticket attractions for the most part you have to be a certain height. So with little kids, it's even almost better for me to go in that time, because then I can hit like 3 or 4 even like of the smaller rides with my son that like end up like longer, like Buzz Lightyear Ranger Spin or whatever, always ends up being for like 45 minutes to an hour, and I don't know why. That's the perfect one that I hit with him like first thing in the morning. And then we do like Tomorrowland Speedway because I don't want to wait in a long line in the heat. Like we can do a Astro Orbiter, like all those different things. And then it's like regular park opening time, and everyone else has been waiting for like Tron or Mine Train or something. So I, especially with the little ones, if your little ones are already up early, like definitely plan to go ahead and do that. But also what you're saying too, I always put in my itineraries. Everyone asks me what the rope drop time is, and I also say to get there at least half an hour early, because they open the gates before that usually. So then the rope drop time is you're usually held off at like a certain spot in the park, like past all the shopping, and then that's when they like drop the rope at the specific time and let you in. So,
we didn't even plan this, but it worked out perfectly. You kind of gave the family perspective on some of those rides, because you have littles.
Yeah.
Me and Jen's littles aren't so little anymore. So like we're thinking differently. You keep us honest with the family perspective.
Yeah,
you have littles right now, so that's a great point.
If I was going like just friends or just me and my husband, I would do what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah, but with the little ones, it's still key. I just wouldn't do necessarily the big ticket ones because he might not be tall enough for them yet.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
It makes so much sense.
Astro Orbiter and Buzz Lightyear are just insanely long throughout the day. Do those first if you have littles and can't do the big ones. That's just a perfect way to give two things there.
I have a question for you guys on your input on this. If you are not staying on property, is it still worth it to rope drop regular park time?
I think so.
Definitely.
I had a family not too long ago who, they come to me for tickets, and and things of that nature because they have a timeshare in Orlando, and they still do as close they can to their, it's not really rope drop because they're not staying on property, but they get there right when they open. And it's still a much shorter line because, people do sleep in on vacation. I can't imagine people do and they spend that much money, but they do. It's so worth it to be there as early as possible because some of these lines don't really fill up for a couple hours or hour and a half into it.
And I'm going to give you a little TMI tip as well. If you are not staying on property and you are getting there early for the actual park opening, do not stop and go to the bathroom. I'm serious. Get to that first ride and do it. And then, make sure all your needs are taken care of. Don't stop for coffee. Don't stop for the bathroom. Get in, get your first ride done. Otherwise, you are going to be, it's not going to matter. At that point, everybody's going to be there.
So what you're saying is if you get there half hour early and you have to wait 15, 20 minutes, go use a bathroom then really quick.
Yeah. Yes, find one and go, because if you then get in and go to the bathroom, get your coffee, it's done. You just wasted
that's the advantage of staying on property. You can actually gallivant and go to the bathroom if you need to. Yes, I popped up for that.
There you go. Exactly. You can. It'd be easier. Yeah. I just had a family last week who said that rope drop was the best thing ever for them. Like she sent me a video. She was like FaceTiming me of them walking right through the queue directly into the first stop section where they're, when Ray makes herself visible with BB-8 on Rise of the Resistance. They never had to stop,
That's great.
Rope drop is really good. And like I said, it used to be rope drop back in the day. So, all right. Number 4. I'll go back to me. Park strategy, know when and where to go. This is big because there's certain days of the week that you want to avoid certain parks, in my opinion. Like I generally will never let my families go to Magic Kingdom on Mondays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
A lot of families will fly in on Saturday or Sunday and they take that first day either as a rest day. And it's like usually Monday is the busiest day of the week for Magic Kingdom because people fly in on the weekends. Yeah. So there's a pro tip, try to avoid Magic Kingdom on a Monday. And then Saturday they can be busy too because it's like some people's last opportunity to hit Magic Kingdom before they depart. So those days are usually pretty intense. Obviously, you can't avoid it if Monday or Saturday happens to be like New Year's Eve and you want to go be there for Magic Kingdom, but just you can expect to wait a long time anyways if you're going there on New Year's Eve. The two busiest days of the year, in my opinion, are New Year's Eve and 4th of July. Those days are just insane. And about the only 2 days a year that they actually sell out of multi-pass, single pass I've seen in the past because they can hit a capacity.
I actually think spring break last year they did.
Did they do it last year too on certain days?
So yeah, like around the Easter time.
I'm glad you said that because I'm gonna have to keep an eye on it in case I get it for myself.
Yes.
Other things that I think are important too. Knowing when and where to go is how to move through the park. We may get into that a little bit differently. A lot of people, like for instance, at Magic Kingdom, they come in and they go right. If they don't really have that, just for some reason they come in and they go right. If you watch, and I've done that before, I've just sat there and watched people. Everybody goes right. It's kind of like the opposite of Epcot when they get to World Showcase. Everybody goes left first, which is it's kind of weird. But just kind of know that if people go right at Magic Kingdom, go left because things will be a little bit less busy over in Adventureland or maybe Haunted Mansion. Go around that side. So that's something. What else you guys think is really important with
just at the different times that you want to hit the parks, like Animal Kingdom is usually a lot less busy in the afternoons. A great time to hit some of the major rides are during meal times and fireworks or parade times because lots of families want to see that stuff. So if that's not your gig, then hit up some rides that the wait times will definitely be lower. Just little things like that.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
No, I was just gonna say again, considering when we talk a lot about rope drop, if you're not the morning people, a really good time to hit those big ticket attractions are in the last 5 minutes of the park hours because they will still let you into the queue.
Yep.
And then a lot of times it's a lot less because again, people have gone to like the fireworks, Phantasmic, whatever.
Big time pro tip right there. Big time pro tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, if you're staying at a deluxe resort, take advantage of the extra evening hours that you get occasionally sprinkled throughout the calendar. So
Yeah.
watch for those as well.
And if a deluxe resort's not in your budget, they definitely have a lot of the after hours events through the springtime too. So like Hollywood Studios, if you don't care so much for the shows or Phantasmic and you just want to hit up the rides, the after hours incorporating that into your budget can be really, really great because then you can do all the rides and typically multiple times. And again, not have to wait in really long lines too.
And
it's
just
funny.
That is a separately ticketed item, but still can be very worth it. Yeah.
Yep. It's funny you talked about Animal Kingdom clearing out in the afternoon. I've always wondered why, but I think it's to me that park is the hottest of the 4 parks in the summertime. It's with all that foliage and all that, the greenery there, it gets hot. So I think that's probably the main reason. I don't know why that one just feels worse to me.
I agree.
Okay, so obviously Epcot can fill up in the afternoon. There's another tip. Hollywood Studios wait times generally spike during the day. But man, what Alyssa said earlier, I think is gold about getting in your maybe some of the lines got long for you during the day. You didn't want to wait. If you wait till the end of the night, if you can make it to the end of the night, there's a misconception that when the park closes, those rides are closed. And that's not true. If you get if they close at 9:00 and you get in the queue at 8:59, they're still open. They will let that queue go through before those cast members get to go home. So it's a big pro tip there that Alyssa brought up because it can save you a ton of time during the day.
And again, those lines that are like all outside, like Slinky Dog Dash, that is always super long. Perfect one to do at 8:59. I mean,
yeah. Even the first part of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is outside.
Yeah.
So that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, let's move on to the next one.
All right. So again, this is all about just managing your time when you maybe you're going through a busier and hotter time of the year. So we talk about like mobile ordering. So I use Disneyland, like a lot of times when they have like their food and wine festival or all their different things and they have different meals and like super popular viral snacks, mobile order when the mobile ordering thing opens at like 7 a.m. and then like you just have to go up and pick up your snack while everyone else is waiting in a crazy long line for it. So I feel like that is such a good time saver. It's so easy. And then trying again, like to have like your reservations during not like noon, right? Like at lunchtime, because then that's when everyone's eating. That's a great time to go hop on some ride like lines, but try maybe to do like a late brunch. Like we love doing our character meals at like 10:30 because then it's perfect timing of like I was able to hit a few things when the park opened. Now I'm sitting down to eat. Now I can go hit some more things while everyone else is eating. So I feel like that it sounds so, I don't know, so simple, but like no one really thinks about these types of tips and stuff. So
I like that tip a lot about doing a brunch. I think that's a great idea. If you can have some breakfast snacks in your room, feed your kids some little things to tide them over, get in, rope drop, and then have your character meal after a couple hours. That's a great tip.
How do you guys feel about it's one of the things that I've been suggesting to my families for a while, especially the ones who end up wanting to do a dining reservation late, inside of the 60 days. I suggest to them a lot. Sometimes like 2, 3, 4 o'clock can be really good times to do like an early dinner, have like a brunch, you can get into some of your favorite restaurants if you're willing to do those unpopular times. Just have a breakfast early and maybe make that an early dinner and then you can snack later in the night, so that's something that I've always noticed to be advantageous if you do plan late or don't necessarily want the 60-day dining reservations, don't want to commit to that, have a phobia about committing, you can still get into some of those unpopular times.
I also say that sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Go ahead, Alyssa.
I was just gonna say to also use the app for the walk-up lists as well, because again, some of the more popular ones, you can get on that walk-up list like really early when you get to the park, and then you can have like an optimal time for it. But like especially like the I don't know, just like super popular again character meals and stuff, like you can really get into something in like at a decent time, and you never had to have that reservation, and you didn't have to be so tied down to that reservation time either. Like my last couple trips, I have booked no reservations and I've done just the walk-up lists. So just kind of
Nice.
whatever had something available, and it always works out. So
Yeah.
my one pro tip though would be for Space 220 to do the walk-up list for the lounge, because they almost always
That
have
was just my
something.
point. That was just
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you can again not have to do the regular fixed price menu at the restaurant and still get to enjoy everything, but you go do like it's a physical walk-up. I don't know that they have the walk-up list on the app, unless you guys have seen that.
I think Space 220 is the only one that does not have the on the app walk-up list. Yeah.
So
And that's exactly what I was going to mention is if you don't get that reservation for some of the more popular restaurants, there typically is a lounge associated with it. There's only a few, but the lounge options give you you can have pretty much the same menu.
Yep.
And you can sit at the bar, have some cocktails. Space 220 was on my list. The other one was the Nomad Lounge in Animal Kingdom is really popular and a really fun one. And another fun one is the Tune In Lounge right beside 50s Primetime Cafe. That is a really cool lounge right there that's kind of almost hidden. Not a lot of people know about it. So those are fun little places to check out if you cannot get a actual dining reservation.
My favorite lounge, and it's escaping my mind right now. What's the name of the restaurant on the ground floor at Contemporary?
Steakhouse 71.
Steakhouse 71 has a lounge there that they have some pretty unique dishes too. Like they have PB&J wings, which is one of my favorite things in all of Disney World. You wouldn't think they were that good, but they are really good.
You've mentioned that a few times, Jeff.
Oh my gosh, they're so good. And then
Stay with Tambu Lounge at the Polynesian. They have a lot of the Ohana foods there. Again, another super popular.
Yeah, you can get the noodles, and they're not on the menu, but if you ask for them, you can get them.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, next one, number 6.
That one's me. So manage expectations and stay flexible. That's a big one. I always tell my clients to pack their patience because it really can be busy, and you can get kind of stressed out a little bit. But if you go in knowing that it is going to be busy and you kind of have a plan, then it's going to be a little bit easier to take. So adjust your mindset, use your app to track the wait times, and just be aware of what's what, how long you're going to need to be here. Or if you have some time to, maybe I'll cross the park and do this while I'm waiting for that, and something, things like that. And definitely schedule your breaks. A lot of families take midday breaks, head back to the resort, let the kids chill out. And this is another thing, and Alyssa can probably attest to that. When your kids are starting to melt down, you can't force them to do anything, or your trip is going to be miserable. Just go with the flow, take them out, get them a break, get them a rest, throw them in the pool for a while, and then come back and regroup. Because if you're on property, you're going to be able to come back. You're going to be able to stay a little bit later, and you're going to still be able to do things. So
yeah, I always tell my clients with the kids, like, your kid best. So like Trip, he could go all day and be totally fine, and it's like no big deal. Claire, I have no flipping idea what she's gonna be, and so that's why I changed our resort to the Contemporary for this next trip, because I wanted the ease of like one of us can stay in the park with Trip because he's not gonna nap. I know he's not going to, and then the other of us can go back to the hotel with Claire just in case we needed to. So like if you have that, I don't know how they're gonna be like being flexible, like you're saying, and being willing to take the midday break, take the midweek break, and like have that resort day.
Yes, build a day in. Yes.
It's just, it can be so much, and it can be overwhelming. Again, your kid best. So like, I'll tell people that. I'm like, they always say, well, what did you do with your kid? I'm like, my kid's an anomaly. He just like can go all day until midnight, and then he crashes. So, but that doesn't mean that's how your kid is going to be. So like, if you know that they thrive on 2 naps a day or whatever it is, like trying your best to
I thrive on 2 naps a day.
Yeah, so
and that actually brings us, I mean, this segues nicely right into the next one. We can keep talking about it to the next point, which is the midday break strategy. You're going to see a lot of families, especially the families, that are composed of like Alyssa's with small kids, taking those midday breaks. Having a resort that's nearby is obviously smart if you plan to do Magic Kingdom a couple days. So any of the monorail ones, if you're an Epcot lover like myself, plan for one of the hotels in the back there, the yacht club, the beach club, boardwalk, or take the Skyliner back to Caribbean Beach. There's a lot of cool strategies there. Most of these parks are at capacity between noon and 4 p.m. It's always a good time to take the little ones back, or maybe the big ones, and grab a midday nap. You're going to see a lot of people who don't leave the parks. They do what I like to call hobo napping everywhere. That's a very popular thing. They hobo nap in the parks, but taking a midday break will help you get through. Especially if you're staying at a deluxe resort, it'll help you get to those nighttime hours. It's a it's a pretty intense day at Disney World, and I don't mean that just stressful. It's physically demanding. You will put on between 12 and 15,000 steps on average, if you walk around those parks on a whole day basis. So you're going to need to have your, little rest points throughout the day. It's just needed. Now, I think, Jen, you made the point that it's pretty easy to get back into the park, when you come back, because generally it is. I would say 99% of the time, there's no issues getting back in. It's just sometimes those peak days, like New Year's Eve or 4th of July, or even a busy day like Alyssa said on spring break. If they're at capacity, you may have to wait a little bit to get back in, but you typically can get back in. So we just want to make sure we say that out there. So, but even like during the day, isn't it good to sometimes take a break in some of the rides that will allow you to do that? What are some that come to mind? Sleepers.
Oh, It's a Small World.
Carousel,
sure.
Carousel Progress.
Carousel Progress. Oh, that's a great one.
The Hall of Presidents.
I knew John would chime in here. Which one do you sleep at, John?
I don't sleep. Go back to the hotel and take a nap. But if I had to, it would be the American Adventure at Epcot, which is sad because it's like one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I agree with you. If I'm gonna nap, it's usually that one at Epcot, because that's usually what I'm at.
Or
anyway,
the France one, the France movie. I
Curse
love
your
it.
tongue. I love Impressions to France.
Yeah, I love it. But
I actually make that part of my day.
Every time we do our draft, you always pick Impressions to
France.
France.
I do. I love that. I got a big poster right here of Impressions to France.
That's awesome.
That was one of my favorite countries that I went to with Adventures by Disney. So that one's always just meant something to me. I love that one.
Great.
But there are a lot of attractions that you can, hobo nap right in a comfortable seat. I know it's funny. I always
Muppets 3D. Another one.
For a little bit longer. For Muppets,
a little bit longer.
But it's funny you said carousel, because one of my favorite things to do is, as soon as the show ends, I like to stand up and look and see who's sleeping still.
Yes.
There's usually 6 or 7 or 8 like dads that are like sleeping with the kid on their chest.
Out.
Yeah, totally out.
So here again, like when I was talking about knowing your own kid, sometimes you may think you know your own kid, because one of our trips, we went to Carousel Progress with the intention of trying to get Trip down for a nap. He freaking loved It's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, that like every single time, because this was like before he could talk, he was doing sign language, and he'd be like, more, and like, because it just kept playing like every time and I was like, this kid is not going to take a nap, because he loves this ride.
So he probably makes you play it in the car when you're driving somewhere, doesn't he?
I won't.
Nope.
It'll put me to sleep.
maybe Trip will be unlucky enough one of these times to see like his hand fall off or something. It won't be his favorite ride anymore.
Oh my god!
Because I have seen that happen before. So
geez.
Yeah. But back in the day when I saw it happen, it was no big deal. Now if it happens, it's on TikTok in 5 minutes.
Right?
His hand fell off. All right. So Alyssa, number 8.
Yeah, so again, kind of related to all this too. So like knowing what your most efficient transportation option is to and from your resort. Again, we're staying at like Contemporary, so I can walk to Magic Kingdom. I can also take the monorail, but pro tip is knowing what direction the monorail goes in, because if I'm going to Magic Kingdom, I don't want to actually take the monorail, because you're going to do that whole loop. So it's better in the morning to walk there, take the monorail back at the end of the day.
Yep.
But at the same time, the other park we're going to be doing is Hollywood Studios. And again, we're not sure how Claire is going to do. So I'm incorporating into my budget a minivan, because I don't want to one of us have to take her in the stroller back by ourselves. But a minivan, they have the car seats.
Yep.
And so I can just kind of get her in the car seat that they provide, get the stroller in the back of the minivan, and then get back to the hotel really, really quick. So Just kind of knowing all your options. If you're on Skyliner Resort, again, knowing you have to transfer over at Caribbean Beach. If you have a double wide stroller, you have to collapse it. If you have a double forward and back stroller, you can just roll it on. All those kinds of tips, just knowing what all your transportation options.
And there's going to be some families that don't know what they don't know when it comes to transportation, which is why, travel agents like us or travel advisors like us are so important. Because I'm going to give you an instance. I had a family who I booked last year whose favorite two parks are Epcot and Hollywood Studios. They just love those two parks. And they're not always fond of the bus system and everything else. So I was like, you know what? You really should look at Boardwalk, Yacht Club, Beach Club. Those resorts, you can actually just physically use your feet and walk to both of those parks. If it's a nice day out, it's like maybe a 10-minute walk from Boardwalk over to Hollywood Studios. But, it's so important to really use a travel advisor because, first off, we don't charge you guys anything. Zip. We are actually paid by the, companies we book through. We're compensated that way. So it's not going to cost you anything. And we can give you all these pro tips and help you find the perfect hotel. Caribbean Beach is one of my favorite places for families right now. There's Johnny on the spot putting her graphic. But Caribbean Beach is super popular right now for those that really want to be able to utilize the Skyliner. The head end station is right there, and you can be at Epcot and Hollywood Studios in just a few minutes by using the Skyliner. So that's where we can excel and help you with the transportation and avoiding the stress. So, all right, number 9, Jen.
So we've alluded to this a couple times, but the big a big time saver is being an on-site or within the Disney bubble guest. You do get those extra perks, and the biggest two are early entry and the extended evening hours. Those are huge as far as if you want to maximize those park hours, getting 2 to 3 rides in the morning and 2 to 3 to 4 rides in at night. It's a very, very big perk to take advantage of.
It definitely is. I mean, those that can get up, the early park entry is gold. We all know that staying late, some of the parks it's more than 30 minutes. Some of it could be hour or two, depending on what park and when. I remember the old days when Magic Kingdom some days would be open till 1, 2 a.m.
We were there till 3 a.m. once. Yeah. They had the extended hour, extra magic hours, they called it. Yep. And there was going to be from 11 to 1. And they tacked on 2 extra hours that day. They were like, nope, we're going to stay open till 3 a.m. We're like, oh my God.
I hope that comes back someday because I'm a night person. I would absolutely love that.
I know. When was the last time Magic Kingdom, other than
pre-COVID?
It has not been open that late since COVID hit, which is so disappointing because that was again, prime time. I remember our mini moon that we took right after our wedding. We watched the fireworks. It was happily ever after then. And then I my husband was like, so do you want to keep doing rides? We had 3 or 4 more hours to keep going when all the families are leaving.
Grab a coffee because all the kids are gone. Let's go.
And I think pre-COVID too, it was all resorts. It wasn't just deluxe. I think everybody got the evening hours, the extra evening hours. So that damn COVID screwed a lot of stuff up. But but still the best perk for me, in this point, Jen, before we move on, is you said at the very start, staying in the Disney bubble. That is the best perk about, doing the Disney bubble is the fact that you're immersed in the Disney 24/7 while you're there. Now, I understand some families may not want to be immersed in it 24/7 if you're a dad that got dragged there, but still your kids are going to be immersed in it 24/7. And just to me, it just makes that 7 days at Disney World even more magical when you're always, in staying inside the magic.
My parents, we lived in Orlando almost my entire life, and they had never ever stayed in the Disney bubble until a few years ago, when I became an agent. Of course, I'm always going to stay in the Disney bubble, but I had them stay with us just for a couple nights when my dad did the Wine and Dine 5K with me. And my mom, within a couple months was I want you to book us a week-long trip there because staying in the bubble is just something else. And these are for Orlando natives who could easily, it takes them 20 minutes to drive there. but it truly is like an extra element of magic.
I think I remember some of the pictures you posted with you and your dad. Weren't they running a race or something?
Yeah.
I
could do a whole we could do a whole episode on that because that was such a cool experience, like for him to do that.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's a good one. The
John's got a point.
That's actually a great idea for a topic. Amazing experiences we've had at Disney World, and just try to let's book it
for sure.
Nice.
Number 10, pack like a pro. This is one of the cool things about Disney World is that they I'm going to get into what to put in your bags, but the fact that they allow you to bring in some of the things that they allow, I think is wonderful. I mean, I always joke with I have families all the time that ask me, "You're allowed to bring food into Disney World?" And I'm like, if you can get it in your bag, you can bring a full cooked turkey in if you want with you. The only thing they really won't allow is your beverages in a glass container. They don't want that. But you can bring in 20-ounce, Coca-Cola, Mountain Dew, a Powerade. You can bring in snacks. For me, being on the healthy side of life, I always like to have protein bars or, something, meat and cheese, something, to snack. And they totally allow that. Now, what you put in your bag is obviously up to you. We normally suggest, as a travel agent, fuel rods or, some type of fuel stick to power your phones, because you will be on them a lot more. There's actually one of the fuel rods right there.
I got them right here. Well, the nice thing, here's the real deal. These things, the fuel rods come with all your accessories, everything you're gonna need to charge your device, no matter what kind of device it is. So yeah, they come all ready to go.
I'm more cordless. I like mine to be slap on the back of my iPhone. Little pro tip about these things: if you put them on at the start of the day, when you're already at 100%, these things will last twice as long because they will always be doing just the minimum to keep you high.
Nice.
And usually by 7, 8 o'clock at night is when they finally start to dip a little bit, but you're still at 100%. So the
great pro tip. I love that.
Pro tip is to put these on at the start of the day, not when your phone's down to 30%. So then it's working harder to get it back up, and these things deplete quicker. Do it at the start, and it'll generally last almost 2 full days if you don't charge it. So
send me a link to those. I need some of those.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I think I have one of those. I just bought it, and I don't.
Yeah,
know
I have the official Apple one.
Oh,
and then this is the other popular
Anchor
brand, Anchor one.
Gotcha.
So this one does last a little bit longer, but this one is still great. This is the Apple certified one. So, but yeah, you want to put these in there because you definitely are going to need them, especially if you have kids and you're in line and they're playing games while you're trying to keep them busy or watching movies. Florida weather. Talk about that for a second, guys.
It's so unpredictable, right? So
totally.
It depends on obviously the time of year, but if you were to go right now, I'd say you need to pack layers because it could be cool in the early mornings and the evenings, and then really hot in the afternoon. But then everyone, it's funny to me when I have clients who are like, "Oh no, it looks like it's going to rain every day," and I'm like, "It might, but maybe for 5 minutes."
Yep.
So
I was going to say that. You cannot go by weather forecasts when looking at Disney World because it will show, especially in the summer, it's going to show rain for 90 days straight in the weather forecast. That's what happens in Florida. The humidity builds up. It's got to give, right? And so it showers hard for maybe 20, 30 minutes, maybe less, maybe a little bit longer. And then the sun comes back out and the humidity builds again and it rains at night. Yeah. That's what happens. But here's my biggest thing that I always laugh at when I tell my family is this is what's going to happen to you. Especially the summer months ones. I said, you guys are going to go into a ride. It's going to be beautifully sunny out. And all of a sudden you come out the exit and it's pouring rain.
Or it's black and you're like,
it's black and pouring rain. And Disney doesn't let you just stand in the exit. They need to keep that clear because of fire code. So I said, you need to have some ponchos in your bag. So pack ponchos. You need those in your bag.
And get them ahead of time so that they're not $8 a piece. And they're packed, they're little tiny. Just pack them in your bag in the bottom of your bag and forget it.
Go to Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and get those dollar ones and just throw them in your bag. Because you're right. If you don't listen to us and you buy them at the park, you're going to spend $8 or $10 for some plastic.
Here, can I give my pro tip? Because can I
Yes.
tell you that I feel so badass when I am pulling out my stroller rain cover and I see all these parents around me like, what are we doing? Like trying to find a place to put their stroller that's covered. And I'm just like pulling out my stroller rain cover that cost me $20 and is reusable, and I've had it for like 4 years now. And I swear I feel so bad when I see people come out and like they didn't know it was going to rain and now their stroller is soaked and like then their kid can't sit in it and it's just ruined for the day. So like it's if there's even a chance that the rain is going to hit while you're in that ride or in that show, put the stroller rain cover on and then you thank yourself later. Oh,
Absolutely.
I feel so good when I.
And if you have a stroller, you've got room for that. They pack up small,
Right.
they lay flat, throw it on the bottom of the basket. You're good.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are people that I've had questions. Can you take umbrellas in there? Yeah, you can take umbrellas. You can do both. It's kind of funny that they don't allow selfie sticks, but they allow umbrellas. You know, in the park. It's kind of still the same thing, but I guess one is the selfie sticks for all the bloggers who were hitting people and all that stuff. I think that's why those were banned. But
probably.
But yes, there's a tip right there. If you are coming in and you want to do some video, do not bring a selfie stick in because they will not allow you. They will send you back to your car in the walk of shame.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people will just either throw them away because they don't want to go all the way back, or they'll put them in a locker or hide them. They'll hide them somewhere. So, but yes, cooling towels, things like that.
I was just gonna say we're coming up on an hour, and my iPad is at 8%. So you might.
All right, well, let's buzz through these last ones really quick. I think there's only one more to go.
One more left.
Yeah,
one more. So we will hopefully get to your before your 8%'s up. If not, say bye right now, Alyssa. You know how Apple devices work. You get that last 10%, it goes quick.
Yep.
So all right, number 11. That would be me, right?
Go for it.
Yep.
No. All right, fireworks and nighttime show strategies. So I think we all have our own little strategies for this. You know, this is a big part of people's vacation, especially at Magic Kingdom, seeing the Happily Ever After show, which is one of my favorite shows that Disney's ever done. To be honest with you, I was pissed when they got rid of it.
Yeah.
And then happy as heck when they came back. But anyways, the nighttime strategy shows there is a such thing. You know, I always tell my families, if you have 2 days, if you have a 5-day ticket and you're going to do 2 days at Magic Kingdom, do a hard day, get most of the things done, and then maybe leave early, even before the fireworks, or keep riding through those fireworks. And your second day, come in halfway through the day for dinner and stay for the fireworks. You know, there's great strategies that everybody has. Epcot, I think, is the only other park. Well, no, I think I just read that Hollywood's starting something soon here, but Epcot's got a night show, which I think is wonderful as well, even though I like the last one a little bit better. You know, but we all have our opinions on the shows and on how we like them, right? Reflections of Earth is still my all-time favorite, but that's what 10 years ago. But the nighttime shows are really strategy filled. You have when you're going to watch them, don't just expect to get up in front of the castle because you're going to tick some family off and you're going to end up being on TikTok because you got in a fight. So you don't want that to happen. So get there early, be courteous, you know, find a nice spot. I've been telling my families, I don't know about you guys, but I've been telling my families my favorite spot for Happily Ever After now is not right in front of the castle. I like to be way back by the Roy and Minnie Mouse.
Way back there. Okay.
Because the streets now have all the projection show on all the buildings on Main Street. So you not only get to see all the buildings and all the projection, you can still see the fireworks beautifully, and the speakers are just as close back there as they are up front.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to get out. You just turn around and walk out. So
my
what do you guys think?
My spot is halfway down Main Street, you know, where there's like that alcove that like the buildings are like separated. Right there is where I go because again, you can still see the Main Street, you can still see the castle projections, and then you can bust it out of there and usually still get on the first bus out.
Perfect too. And it's less crowded back there too. Even if it's at your spot halfway or at the end of mine, you actually have elbow room back there, you know, because most people are just packed in the front. What about you, Jen? What do you do?
Sorry, I was going to also say you can get there 10 minutes before rather than half an hour to an hour before too.
Yep.
I'm with you guys. I come back quite a ways because I do think the projections and things make a lot of the show. It's nice. And then you can, for me as a Disney adult, then we can take advantage of hopping into the shops and meandering my way out and let the crowds go through and then leave. That's what I like to do. I don't turn around and head out. I like to slowly exit.
So my pro tip for Epcot, my absolute favorite place to see the fireworks show is on the pavilion patio up high in Japan. So that's where I love to watch my fireworks. You're elevated, so you're away from a lot of the crowd down there. It's not as crowded up there, and you can just see over all the trees. And not a lot of people know about that spot. So if you're in Japan and you're doing, what's the hibachi place there, Teppanyaki, or any of those restaurants, you have to climb these long stairs to get up there. And just go to the right. Instead of going in, go to the right, and there's a patio that looks directly over World Showcase Lagoon.
Awesome.
So that's my number one spot. And I also like the UK for a second spot to watch them too.
I was just going to say, if you are next to the fish and chips place and right to the exact right of that, there's a path that winds right down and it goes way down to the lake. And there's a really nice area down there with chairs and things like that.
Exactly what I was going to say. Most people don't even know that exists.
I know. I like that spot.
So, all right.
Nice.
So that's it, guys. That's kind of what our tips are. Spring break at Disney can be crowded, but it's one of my most favorite times of year. After long winters, especially if you live in the Midwest or East Coast, you are ready for some warm weather, and spring break is just perfect. The topiaries at Epcot, it's just beautiful. So we would love to hear some comments down below. So let us know what your pro tips are, because we can add them for our next year. We seem to be doing the spring break one each year. It's become pretty popular. So
for sure.
With that, I will say bye. This is Jeff, and I will let my beautiful ladies here say bye themselves.
Bye.
And Jen is out. Thanks, guys.
All right, we'll see you guys next time. Possibly me on location. So we'll see you guys soon.
Woo! Bye.